Been a twice-a-year ritual for people in Michigan and across most of the country for years, turning the clocks back and forward for daylight saving time. But tonight, politicians in Washington, D.C. are one step closer to ending that for good.
On Tuesday, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill that would make daylight saving time permanent. News 10's Braden Willis joins us live from the newsroom with the debate and what a change could mean for your health. Braden?
And David, it's called the Sunshine Protection Act, and it cleared the House with bipartisan support, 308 to 117. If the bill is signed into law, that would mean darker mornings but brighter evenings in Michigan winters. Those who oppose the bill have their concerns, but experts I spoke with today tell me putting an end to the twice-a-year changes would be worth the costs. On July 14th, the House of Representatives passed a bill that would make daylight saving time permanent. For Michigan winters, it means sunrise wouldn't take place until after 9 a.m. and the sun wouldn't set until around 6 p.m., providing extra sunlight in the evenings. Those against the bill cite concerns over low visibility in the early morning and children going to school in the darkness. Concerns that Sleep Center nurse practitioner Jamie Simmons says are valid.
Kids in general usually have a much different sleeping pattern than adults, so that sunlight is beneficial for them in that way to kind of stimulate their brains to be more awake and alert.
But Simmons says the trade-off is worthwhile to stop changing out the clocks twice a year.
When we start to move our sleep schedules around every 6 months, it really creates a lot of challenges for people with falling asleep, staying asleep, feeling rested.
It causes an increase in heart attacks, it causes an increase in car accidents.
Michigan State University psychology professor Kimberly Fenn agrees.
All of your underlying physiology fluctuates on a very distinct circadian cycle. Even if we're sleeping appropriately, everything else in our body, our hormone production, our heart rate, respiration, everything that fluctuates in a 24-hour cycle isn't synchronized.
According to a 2025 survey from the Associated Press, just under half of Americans are against the current daylight saving system we have in the U.S. A similar bill was passed by the Senate in 2022, but lost steam and did not make it any further. And David, back to you in the studio.
Braden, thank you. The bill now heads to the U.S. Senate. If it passes there, it will head to the president's desk. He has advocated for this change in the past.